Package org.paros proxy.paros.core.spider. Import java.utility.regex.matcher. Import java.utility.regex.pattern. Class parser. Pattern equals null. Parser string Get attribute within. 1 double quote if exist. 2 bounded by spaces if double quote not exist. String pattern equals I \s plus iter.uppercase plus \s equals \s \1 colon \z \s plus string iter pattern equals \s plus iter.uppercase plus \s equals \s \0,1 \1 \z s plus pattern equals pattern.compile iter pattern.case underscore insensitive pattern.total string get value string doc string result equals matcher equals pattern.matcher doc if matcher.find result equals matcher.group 2 return result.trim. Package org.paros proxy.paros.core.spider. Import java.utility.regex.matcher. Import java.utility.regex.pattern. Class parser tag. Public static final int closing underscore tag underscore yes equals 0. Closing underscore tag underscore no equals 1. Closing underscore tag underscore optional equals 2. Private pattern equals null. Private matcher equals null. Private string doc equals null. Address equals null. Content equals null. Private int closing tag type equals closing underscore tag underscore yes. Parser tag, string tag, int closing tag. String u tag equals tag dot uppercase. String tag pattern equals null. This dot closing tag type equals closing tag. Switch, closing tag. Case closing underscore tag underscore no. Tag pattern equals plus u tag plus \s plus \s break. Case closing underscore tag underscore optional. Tag pattern equals plus u tag plus \s plus \s break. Case closing underscore tag underscore yes. Default. Tag pattern equals plus u tag plus \s plus \s dot plus u tag plus \s break. Pattern equals pattern.compile tag pattern.case underscore insensitive pattern.total void parse string doc. This doc equals doc. Matcher equals pattern.matcher doc. Get next tag if exist. At return true, next tag exist. Boolean next tag. Boolean is found equals false. Address equals. Content equals. If, matcher.find. Address equals matcher.group, 1. Try. If, closing tag type equals closing underscore tag underscore optional closing tag type equals closing underscore tag underscore yes. Content equals matcher.group, 2. Catch, exception e. Close tag no, may not have group 2. Is found equals true. Return is found. String get address. Return address. String get content. Return content. Package org.paros proxy.paros.core.scanner. Import org.apache.commons.configuration.configuration. Import org.parosproxy.paros.network.http message. This interface must be implemented by a plugin for running the checks. The Abstract Host plugin, Abstract Tap plugin, Abstract Tap Param plugin implement this interface, and is a good starting point for writing new plugins. Public Interface plugin extends runnable. Unique Paros ID of this plugin. At return. Public int get ID. Plugin name. This is the human-readable plugin name for display. At return. Public string get name. Code name is the plugin name used for dependency naming. By default this is the class name, without the package prefix. At return. Public string get code name. Default description of this plugin. At return. Public string get description. Public void init, HTTP message, host process parent. Public void scan. Array of dependency of this plugin. This plugin will start running until all the dependency completed running. The dependency is the class name. At return null if there is no dependency. Public string get dependency. Enable disable this plugin. At param enabled. Public void set enabled, boolean enabled. Return if this plugin is enabled. At return true equals enabled. Public boolean is enabled. The category of this plugin. See category. At return. Public int get category. Default solution returned by this plugin. At return. Public string get solution. Reference document provided by this plugin. At return. Public string get reference. Plugin must implement this to notify when completed. Public void notify plugin completed, host process parent. Always true, if plugin is visible to the framework. At return. Public boolean is visible. Public void set config, configuration config. Public configuration get config. Public void create berm if not exist. Package org.parosproxy.paros.core.scanner. Import java.utility iterator. Import java.utility list. Import java.utility tree map. Import java.utility vector. Import org.apache.commons.configuration.configuration. Import org.apache.commons.logging.log. Import org.apache.commons.logging.log factory. Import org.parosproxy.paros.constant. Import org.parosproxy.paros.common.dynamic loader. To change the template for this generated type comment go to Window, Preferences, Java, Code Generation, Code and Comments. Public class plugin factory. Private static log equals log factory.get log, plugin factory.class. Private static vector listal plugin equals new vector. Private static tree map mapple plugin equals new tree map. Private static tree map mapple plugin order codename equals new tree map. Private static dynamic loader equals null. Private vector list pending equals new vector. Private vector list running equals new vector. Private vector list completed equals new vector. Private int total plugin to run equals 0. Public plugin factory. Super. Iterator equals null. Plugin equals null. Synchronized, mapple plugin. Pass 1, enable all plugins dependency. Iterator equals mapple plugin dot values, dot iterator. While, iterator dot has next. Plugin equals, plugin, iterator dot next. If, plugin dot is enabled. Enable dependency, plugin. Pass 2, put enabled dependency in list pending. Iterator equals mapple plugin dot values, dot iterator. While, iterator dot has next. plugin equals, plugin, iterator.next. If, plugin.is enabled. List pending.add, plugin. Total plugin to run equals list pending.size. Private void enable dependency, plugin. String dependency equals plugin.get dependency. If, dependency equals null. Return. 4, int I equals 0, I dependency.length, I++. Try. Object equals mapple order codename.get, dependency I. If, obj equals null, continue. Plugin p equals, plugin, obj. p.set enabled, true. Enable dependency, p. Catch, exception e. Public synchronized static void loadal plugin, configuration config. If, loader equals null. Loader equals new dynamic loader, constant.folder underscore plugin, org.paros proxy.paros.core.scanner.plugin. List test equals loader.get filter red object, abstract plugin.class. Synchronized, mapple plugin. Mapple plugin.clear. 4, int I equals 0, I list test.size, I++. Plugin equals, plugin, list test.get, I. Plugin.set config. Plugin.create param if not exist. If, plugin.is visible. Continue. Plugin.set enabled, true. Log.info, loaded plugin plus plugin.get name. Mapple plugin.put, new integer, plugin.get ID, plugin. Mapple plugin order codename.put, plugin.get codename, plugin. Iterator equals mapple plugin.values, .iterator. While, iterator.has next. Listal plugin.add, iterator.next. Public static list getl plugin. Return listal plugin. Public static plugin get plugin, int id. Plugin test equals, plugin, mapple plugin.get, new integer, id. Return test. Public static void seedle plugin enabled, boolean enabled. 4, int I equals 0, I listal plugin.size, I++. Plugin equals, plugin, listal plugin.get, I. Plugin.set enabled. Synchronized boolean exist plugin to run. If, probenext plugin, equals null. Return true. No test ready to run. Still exist test if due to dependency. If, list pending.is empty, list running.is empty. Return true. Return false. Get next test ready to be run. Null equals none. Test dependent on others will not be obtained. At return. Private plugin probenext plugin. Plugin equals null. Int I equals 0. While, plugin equals null and I list pending.size. Plugin equals, plugin, list pending.get, I. If, I sal dependency completed, plugin. Return plugin. I++. Return null. Get next plugin ready to be run without any dependency outstanding. At return new instance of next plugin to be run. Synchronized plugin next plugin. Plugin equals null. Plugin equals probenext plugin. If, plugin equals null. Return null. List pending.remove, plugin. List running.add, plugin. Return plugin. Private boolean isal dependency completed, plugin. Note the plugin object checked may not be the exact plugin object stored in the completed list. But the comparison is basing on plugin ID, C equals method, so it will work. String dependency equals plugin.get dependency. If, dependency equals null. Return true. Synchronized, list completed. 4, int I equals 0, I dependency.length, I++. Boolean is found equals false. 4, int j equals 0, j list completed.size, and, is found, j++. Plugin completed equals, plugin, list completed.get, j. If, completed.get codename, dot equal signor case, dependency I. Is found equals true. If, is found. Return false. Return true. Synchronized void strunning plugin completed, plugin. List running.remove, plugin. List completed.add, plugin. Int total plugin to run. Return total plugin to run. Int total plugin completed. Return list completed.size. Package org.paros proxy.paros.extension.scanner. Import java.awt.gridbag constraints. Import java.awt.gridbag layout. Import javax.swing.jbutton. Import javax.swing.jscrollpane. Import javax.swing.jtable. Import javax.swing.table.tablecolumn. Import org.paros proxy.paros.core.scanner.plugin factory. Import org.paros proxy.paros.view.abstract param panel. To change the template for this generated type comment, go to Window, Preferences, Java, Code Generation, Code and Comments. Public class policy all category panel extends abstract param panel. Private JTable tabletist equals null. Private JScrollpane equals null. Private all category table model equals null. At JVDICL index equals 0 parse visual constraint equals 294,249. Public policy all category panel. Super. Initialize. This method initializes this. At return void. Private void initialize. Gridbag constraints 2 equals new gridbag constraints. Java.awt.gridbag constraints 1 equals new gridbag constraints. Java.awt.gridbag constraints 11 equals new gridbag constraints. This dot set layout, new gridbag layout. This dot set size, 375, 204. This dot set name, category panel. Gridbag constraints 11. Weights equals 1.0. Gridbag constraints 11. Weight equals 1.0. Gridbag constraints 11. Fill equals java.awt.gridbag constraints. Both. Gridbag constraints 11. Gridx equals 0. Gridbag constraints 11. Grid equals 1. Gridbag constraints 11. Insets equals new java.awt.insets 0,0,0,0. Gridbag constraints 11. Anchor equals java.awt.gridbag constraints.northwest. Gridbag constraints 11. Grid width equals 2. Gridbag constraints 1. Anchor equals java.awt.gridbag constraints.northwest. Gridbag constraints 1. Gridx equals 0. Gridbag constraints 1. Grid equals 0. Gridbag constraints 1. Insets equals new java.awt.insets 2,2,2,2. Gridbag constraints 2. Gridx equals 1. Gridbag constraints 2. Insets equals new java.awt.insets 2,2,2,2. Gridbag constraints 2. Grid equals 0. Gridbag constraints 2. Anchor equals java.awt.gridbag constraints.northwest. This add, get pninabael, gridbag constraints 1. This add, get ptundisabael, gridbag constraints 2. This add, get jscrollpane, gridbag constraints 11. Private static final int width equals 300,50. Private jbutton pninabael equals null. Private jbutton tundisabael equals null. This method initializes tabletist. At return javax.swing.jtable. Private jtable getabletist. If tabletist equals null. Tabletist equals new JTable. Tabletist.set model, getl category table model. Tabletist.stro height, 18. Tabletist.set intercell spacing, new java.awt.dimension, 1,1. 4, int I equals 0, I2, I++. Table column equals tabletist.get column model, .get column, I. Column.set preferred width, width I. Return tabletist. Non-javadoc. At ccom proof secure.paros.view.abstract param panel number init param, java.lang.object. Public void init param, object obj. Non-javadoc. At ccom proof secure.paros.view.abstract param panel number validate param, java.lang.object. Public void validate param, object obj, throws exception. Non-javadoc. At ccom proof secure.paros.view.abstract param panel number save param, java.lang.object. Public void save param, object obj, throws exception. This method initializes JScrollPane. At return javax.swing.jscrollPane. Private JScrollPane get JScrollPane. If JScrollPane equals null. JScrollPane equals new JScrollPane. JScrollPane.set viewport view, get a bletist. JScrollPane.set border, javax.swing.border.factory.create each border, javax.swing.border.etched-border.raised. Return JScrollPane. This method initializes category table model. At return com-proof secure.paros.plugin.scanner.category table model. All category table model getl category table model. If all category table model equals null. All category table model equals new all category table model. All category table model.settable, plugin factory.getl plugin. Return all category table model. This method initializes tnenabl. At return javax.swing.jbutton. Private jbutton get tnenabl. If tnenabl equals null. Tnenabl equals new jbutton. Tnenabl.set text, enable all. Tnenabl.add action listener, new java.awt.event.action listener. Public void action performed, java.awt.event.action event e. Getl category table model, .settle category enabled, true. Return tnenabl. This method initializes tun-disable. At return javax.swing.jbutton. Private jbutton get tun-disable. If tun-disable equals null. Tun-disable equals new jbutton. Tun-disable.set text, disable all. Tun-disable.add action listener, new java.awt.event.action listener. Public void action performed, java.awt.event.action event e. Getl category table model, .settle category enabled, false. Return tun-disable. At javdicl index equals 0 visual constraint equals 10,10. Package org.paros.proxy.paros.extension.scanner. Import java.awt.gridbag constraints. Import java.awt.gridbag layout. Import javax.swing.jscrollPane. Import javax.swing.jtable. Import javax.swing.table.table column. Import org.parosproxy.paros.view.abstract param panel. To change the template for this generated type comment, go to Window, Preferences, Java, Code Generation, Code and Comments. Public class policy category panel extends abstract param panel. Private JTable tabletist equals null. Private JScrollPane equals null. Private category table model equals null. At javdicl index equals 0 parse visual constraint equals 294,249. Public Policy Category Panel. Super. Initialize. This method initializes this. At return void. Private void initialize. java.awt.gridBag constraints 11 equals new gridbag constraints. This dot set layout, new gridbag layout. This dot set size, 375, 204. This dot set name, category panel. Gridbag constraints 11 dot weights equals 1.0. Gridbag constraints 11 dot weight equals 1.0. Gridbag constraints 11 dot fill equals java.awt.gridbag constraints dot both. Gridbag constraints 11 dot gridx equals 0. Gridbag constraints 11 dot grid equals 1. Gridbag constraints 11 dot insets equals new java.awt.insets 0,0,0,0. Gridbag constraints 11 dot anchor equals java.awt.gridbag constraints dot northwest. This dot add, get jscroll pane, gridbag constraints 11. Private static final int width equals 300,60. This method initializes tabletist. At return javax.swing.jtable. Private jtable getabletist. If tabletist equals null. Tabletist equals new jtable. Tabletist.set model, get category table model. Tabletist.stro height, 18. Tabletist.set intercell spacing, new java.awt.dimension, 1,1. 4, int I equals 0, I2, I++. Table column equals tabletist.get column model, .get column, I. Column.set preferred width, width I. Return tabletist. Non-javadoc. At ccom proof secure.paros.view.abstract param panel number init param, java.lang.object. Public void init param, object obj. Non-javadoc. At ccom proof secure.paros.view.abstract param panel number validate param, java.lang.object. Public void validate param, object obj, throws exception. Non-javadoc. At ccom proof secure.paros.view.abstract param panel number save param, java.lang.object. Public void save param, object obj, throws exception. This method initializes jscroll pane. At return javax.swing.jscroll pane. Private jscroll pane get jscroll pane. If jscroll pane equals null. JScroll pane equals new JScroll pane. JScroll pane dot set viewport view, getabletist. JScroll pane dot set border, javax dot swing dot border factory dot create each border, javax dot swing dot border dot etched border dot raised. Return JScroll pane. This method initializes category table model. At return com proof secure.paros.plugin.scanner.category table model. Category table model get category table model. If category table model equals null. Category table model equals new category table model. Return category table model. At javdicl index equals 0 visual constraint equals 10,10. Package.org.paros.proxy.paros.extension.scanner. Import java.awt.frame. Import java.awt.headless exception. Import org.parosproxy.paros.core.scanner.category. Import org.parosproxy.paros.core.scanner.plugin factory. Import org.parosproxy.paros.view.abstract param dialog. To change the template for this generated type comment, go to Window, Preferences, Java, Code Generation, Code and Comments. Public class policy dialog extends abstract param dialog. Private static final string root equals. Private policy category panel policy category panel equals null, at JVDICL index equals 0 visual constraint equals 431,185. Private policy all category panel policy all category panel equals null. Public policy dialog. Super. Initialize. Public policy dialog, frame parent, throws headless exception. Super, parent, true, policy, plugin category. Initialize. Private void initialize. This dot set title, policy. This dot set size, 550, 400. Add param panel, null, get policy all category panel. 4. Int I equals 0, I category dot getl names, dot length, I plus plus. Add param panel, root, category dot get name, I, get policy category panel. Get and cancel, dot set enabled, false. This method initializes policy category panel. At return com proof secure dot paros dot plugin dot scanner dot policy category panel. Private policy category panel get policy category panel. If policy category panel equals null. Policy category panel equals new policy category panel. Return policy category panel. Private void category selected, string name. Int category equals category dot get category, name. Get policy category panel, dot get category table model, dot settable, category, plugin factory dot getl plugin. Protected void shopper ram panel, string name. Super dot shopper ram panel, name. If, name dot equals, this dot getrude node, dot tossed ring. Category selected, name. This method initializes policy all category panel. At return com proof secure dot paros dot extension dot scanner dot policy all category panel. Private policy all category panel get policy all category panel. If policy all category panel equals null. Policy all category panel equals new policy all category panel. Policy all category panel dot set name, plugin category. Return policy all category panel. Package org.paros proxy.paros.core.scanner. Import java.utility list. Import org.paros proxy.paros.common.file.xml. Import org.w3c.dom element. To change the template for this generated type comment, go to Window, Preferences, Java, Code Generation, Code and Comments. Public class policy param extends file XML. Private static final string policy equals policy. Private static final string enabled equals enabled. Private static final string path underscore enabled equals policy, enabled. At param root element name. Public policy param, string root element name. Super, root element name. Non-javadoc. At ccom proof secure.paros.common.file.xml number parse. Protected void parse, throws exception. Parse and blood test. Public void setist list, plugin test list. Public void seat and a blood test. List test equals plugin factory.getl plugin. Element root equals get element, policy. Remove element, root, enabled. 4. Int I equals 0, I list test dot size, I plus plus. Plugin test equals, plugin, list test dot get, I. If, test dot is enabled. Add element, root, enabled, integer dot tossed ring, test dot get ID. Private void parse and a blood test. Element elements equals get elements, policy. Element equals null. If, elements equals null elements dot length equals 0. Return. Plugin factory dot settle plugin enabled, false. 4. Int I equals 0, I elements dot length, I plus plus. Element equals elements I. If, get value, element, enabled, dot equals. Continue. int id equals integer.parseInt, get value, element, enabled. Plugin factory.get plugin, set enabled, true. Package org.paros proxy.paros.view. Import java.awt.component. Import javax.swing.jtree. Import javax.swing.tree.treepath. Import org.paros proxy.paros.control.control. Import org.paros proxy.paros.extension pop-up menu. Import org.paros proxy.paros.extension.history.extension history. Import org.paros proxy.paros.model.history reference. Import org.paros proxy.paros.model.sitemap. Import org.paros proxy.paros.model.sitenode. To change the template for this generated type comment, go to Window, Preferences, Java, Code Generation, Code and Comments. Public class pop-up delete menu extends extension pop-up menu. Private component invoker equals null. This method initializes public pop-up delete menu. Super. Initialize. This method initializes this. At return void. Private void initialize. This dot set text, delete, from view. This dot add action listener, new java.awt.event.action listener. Public void action performed, java.awt.event.action event e. If, invoker.getName, equals, tree site. jtree tree equals, jtree, invoker. Tree path paths equals tree.getSelection paths. Sitemap map equals, sitemap, tree.getModel. 4, int I equals 0, I paths length, I++. Site node equals, site node, paths I.getLast path component. Delete, map, node. Public boolean isOnable for component invoker. If, invoker.getName, equals null and invoker.getName, equals, tree site. This invoker equals invoker. jtree tree equals, jtree, invoker. Site node equals, site node, tree.getLast selected path component. If, node, equals null. This set enabled, true. Else. This set enabled, false. Return true. Else. This invoker equals null. Return false. Public static void delete, site map, site node. Site node child equals null. Synchronized, map. While, node.getChild count, 0. Try. Child equals, site node.getChild at, 0. Delete, map, child. Catch, exception e. If, node.is root. Return. Delete reference in node. Extension history ext equals, extension history, control.getSingleton, .getExtension loader, .getExtension, extension history. Ext getHistoryList, .remove element, node.getHistoryReference. Delete past reference in node. While, node.getPathHistoryReference, .size, 0. History reference ref equals, history reference, node.getPathHistoryReference, .get, 0. Ext getHistoryList, .remove element, ref. Node.getPathHistoryReference, .remove, 0. Map.remove a node from parent, node. Package org.paros proxy.paros.extension.edit. Import java.awt.component. Import java.awt.container. Import javax.swing.jframe. Import javax.swing.text.jtext component. Import org.paros proxy.paros.control.control. Import org.paros proxy.paros.extension pop-up menu. To change the template for this generated type comment, go to Window, Preferences, Java, Code Generation, Code and Comments. Public class pop-up find menu extends extension pop-up menu. Private JText component last invoker equals null. Private JFrame parent frame equals null. At return returns the last invoker. Public JText component get last invoker. Return last invoker. This method initializes public pop-up find menu. Super. Initialize. This method initializes this. At return void. Private void initialize. This dot set text, find. Public boolean isNable for component invoker. If, invoker instancy of JText component. Set last invoker, JText component, invoker. Container C equals get last invoker, dot get parent. While, C instancy of JFrame. C equals C dot get parent. Set parent frame, JFrame, C. Return true. Else. Set last invoker, null. Return false. At return returns the parent frame. Public JFrame get parent frame. Return parent frame. At param parent frame the parent frame to set. Public void set parent frame, JFrame parent frame. This dot parent frame equals parent frame. At param last invoker the last invoker to set. Public void set last invoker, JText component last invoker. This dot last invoker equals last invoker.